Welcome back to my channel. So today I have a different type of video for you, and the reason that I want to talk about this is because I don't want to just be on here and on TikTok like acting like I just became a young mom and everything's just perfect all the time and I just had a baby and like everything's perfect now, because that is so far from the truth. And that's probably what people gather from watching any of my TikToks or my YouTube. And I want to be real. And I know a lot of people, almost every mother, has had a postpartum experience that is not so smooth. And if this helps one person feel less alone, then I will feel really good about that. And also, I just want to raise more awareness to this topic because people talk about postpartum depression more than postpartum anxiety. And I definitely didn't have depression. It was definitely 100% anxiety. So if you are, sensitive to any of these topics, it's going to get dark and deep. So just be aware, and thank you for watching this video, by the way. Seriously, I love YouTube so much. I've been a die-hard YouTube fan for 10 years, and the fact that I have my own channel now is just literally a dream come true. So thank you for subscribing, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you get something out of it. In order to tell my postpartum experience, I need to just paint the picture of what my life was like when I gave birth. I was 20 years old when I found out that I was pregnant, and I was in no place to be a mother, like I've said in my Q&A video. I was just like a crazy teenager still. I was partying, never wanted to be around my family, never wanted to be around my parents. It was just nothing like I am now. So find out I'm pregnant, and I'm just kind of naive about it. I'm just oh wow, I'm pregnant, woohoo, I love babies so much, which I did. I've always been naturally attracted to babies my whole life. So that's why I was just so excited. I'm well, I'm gonna be a mom now, yay. I never thought much of it. And also, something very important to remember is I have two sisters. They're both older than me. One of them's 3 years older than me. The other one is 6 years older than me. So the oldest sister, her name is Sam, she was 26 at the time. She has a husband, and she had a house. They both had stable jobs. They were in the perfect position to have a baby, and she became pregnant 2 months before I did. So she announced her pregnancy. Everyone was so happy. The first grandbaby, it was literally such a big deal. And then 2 months later, I'm hey, I'm pregnant too, and crazy Julie, she's pregnant. Everyone's oh. But everyone was still happy for me. And I was so happy that I had my sister Sam to be pregnant with the whole time. Otherwise, it would have been a different experience for me. I felt so less alone. And she's my older sister. I've always looked up to her, and I just, went to her with anything. And she made it feel like it wasn't such a big deal. Our kids are going to be best friends, and she just made me feel so much better. Because she just did it no problem. She was just pregnant. She was yep, I'm going to be mom. And I was oh, well, that's going to be me too. So having her was really important. And I don't think she really knows that, but it's true. I definitely needed her with me through that pregnancy. Fast forward, she gives birth to her son. We're both having boys, so it's a huge deal. And his name is Julian. And I'm not going to tell her story. That's her story. I'm going to share this from my perspective. So Julian's born. I am so freaking excited. I'm finally an auntie. He's the first grandbaby, and I'm I've always dreamed about being an auntie, so it was a huge deal. I was so happy. So I'm at the hospital meeting Julian. I'm 7 months pregnant, and I'm just oh my god, I'm so excited to have this experience on my own. I see my sister and her husband, and they're so happy. They're just parenting nothing. They just knew what they were doing, and they just made it feel so right. I can't explain it. They just made me feel so good about it. So I was just like, yay, like this is gonna be me in like 2 months. Like once again, I didn't think of all the details of what a mother was. Like I don't know what I was thinking, honestly, but I just was like, yeah, I'm gonna have a baby, and like that's it. Fast forward 1 month after Julian was born, I was 8 months pregnant, and he had died. So this destroyed me. Absolutely destroyed me. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to tell my sister's story, but I'm just gonna, obviously this is not about me, but I'm going to tell it from my perspective. So this destroyed me, and seeing my sister and her husband like that also destroyed me. I'm not gonna cry, hold on. Well, obviously it was an extremely, so obviously it was a tragedy. And my whole family just crumbled, and everyone was just broken. Like, nobody was happy, obviously. No one was happy anymore, and I was 8 months pregnant, and I was just like, felt like I couldn't be happy that I was having a baby, because I was no longer happy that I was having a baby. I was afraid I was having a baby. And it's funny because I always think about, like, if I wasn't already pregnant when this happened, I don't think I would have ever had a baby, because what had happened to her scarred me so bad. I feel like it scarred me more than anyone. And I don't know if it's because I was pregnant or not, but it just affected me so much, and I never really talked about it because it wasn't my, it wasn't my problem. Like, it's hard to say. It's hard to explain, but it wasn't my time to be sad. It wasn't about me. This was about my sister and her husband, and I'm not going to sit there and cry about my baby that's still alive in my stomach, like I was not about to do that. So I kept everything in, and I didn't tell anybody how I was feeling. But obviously people looked at me a little funny because they saw my sister, who just lost her newborn baby boy, and then they see me 8 months pregnant, and they're like, I don't know. I don't know how people felt. Nobody really told me. But I was just acting like I was okay. I was just there for my sister as much as I possibly could. And I tried to look at it as like some sort of positive thing that was in such a negative time. Also, it's important to add that my nephew Julian died of SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome, which is pretty much unexplainable death, and it just kind of happens to babies for like no reason. So, as you can imagine, I was terrified that I couldn't prevent this from happening to my baby as well. And mind you, that last month of me being pregnant, like after Julian had died, I was hearing a lot about SIDS, and everyone would try to make my sister feel better, like, this happens so much more than you think. She didn't want to feel alone, because before this we had never heard of SIDS. And there were like, people would say like, it happens more often to boys in the fall time, and like, it's crazy, it just happens, it happens to so many people. And that made my sister, I think, probably feel better, but it made me a million times more scared. So fast forward again, a month later, it's time for me to give birth. Once again, I kept everything inside. Nobody had any idea how I was feeling. Nobody knew that I was terrified to have this baby. And 2 weeks before Jay was born, we had moved into our new house, and I did not set up Jay's bed, Jay's clothes. I didn't have anything prepared for him, because I convinced myself that he was going to not make it, like he would somehow die. I know it's like so morbid and it's so dark, but in my head, like, this was also going to happen to me, and I know, like, looking back, it's like, what are the odds of that happening twice? But in my head, I don't know why, I just firmly believed that it would happen to me too. So I have Jay, everything went well, he was completely healthy, and it was time for my family to meet him. And they obviously were still sad about what happened to Julian, but they wanted to be happy for me, and I could just feel them like not being that happy. And not blaming them, obviously, because I understand why, because I also wasn't that happy. And that kind of affected me a little bit. I was like, well, if they're not happy, then how am I supposed to be happy? So I didn't tell anybody how I was feeling. I kept it all inside, and I remember the nurse asked me, because she had heard about what happened, and she asked me, like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Really, the only thing I was feeling once Jay was born is scared. I wasn't happy, I wasn't sad, I wasn't depressed, I was scared out of my mind. Because once he was here and I met him, I'm like, oh no, this is way worse than I thought. Because I love him so much. I did not understand what it was like to have your own baby before I had him, and I loved him so much. And I couldn't afford to lose him. Like, I knew I would never be happy again if I ever lost him. So I was like, just afraid to lose him. And I just was also still convinced, even after he was here, I'm like, well, he's going to die too. I just know it. Like, I just convinced myself he was going to die when I bring him home or something. Like, something was going to happen. So the anxiety was at an all-time high when I brought him home.
Sad, I told him that you're filming a video.
Come here, Darth Maul. You want to say hi to my video? Here he is. What do you want to say?
I want you to come downstairs with me.
Okay, I'll come downstairs after I'm done. I promise.
Okay.
Can you let me finish?
Mhm.
Probably like 10 more minutes. Okay? Oh. Thank you, Darth Maul.
It's okay, Papa.
I love you.
I hope you can come back.
I'm gonna come back. It's okay. Don't cry. So, I bring Jay home, and my anxiety is through the roof. I'm convinced he is going to die in his sleep. So, I don't sleep. I stay up all night and I stare at him. And my anxiety definitely worsened at night. Like, I would be so much better during the day, and then the nighttime I could feel it coming, like when it started getting darker, and I was like feeling the anxiety. And I was just like losing my mind. I was afraid of my own child. Like, I was afraid to go check up on him because I was afraid that he was gonna be dead. Like, I would just be afraid to look at him. Like, I remember he would take a nap in his little like bassinet, and before I would open the door, I would think like, okay, like, brace yourself, because this could be the last moment that your life is ever normal ever again. This could be the last moment of happiness ever. And like, that was every day, all day. Like, little things like that every day, all day. And I was just like drained. I was literally not sleeping at all. I would just stare at him. And obviously, at this point, it was showing, and people were definitely noticing. I did open up to Sean, and I just would cry, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I feel like I can't show this baby that I love him, even though I love him so much. I did not show Jay like any love because I was afraid to get attached to him because I thought I was gonna lose him. So it was so bad. I hate saying that, and it sucks because Jay didn't deserve that. He did nothing wrong, but I did not show him love. I took care of him, of course, but that's it. Sean's parents were definitely a key component in getting help, because they were just like a breath of fresh air, because obviously they were very, very sad what happened to Julian. They're very they know Sam, they know my sister, and they had met Julian, and they were obviously affected by what happened, but they were not as affected as my own family. So they were just like, made me feel like everything was gonna be okay. And like the way that they would just like be like, he's not going anywhere, Julie, like he's right here, like he's not going anywhere. And like that made me feel like, okay, like maybe he's not going anywhere, like maybe he's gonna stay with me forever, and maybe I can love him. Like, I had no confidence in myself to be a mom. Like, it was just, I thought everything I was doing was wrong, and I wanted someone else to just tell me what to do. When other people were around, I felt so much better. When other people held Jay, I felt so much better. Like, I can't even explain into words the anxiety I felt. Like, it was just so bad. And looking back, like, I should have gone to a therapist. I know that would have sped up the process of me feeling better, but I didn't. Because once again, I also just, like, the whole time, even though nobody ever made me feel this way ever, the whole time I felt like it just wasn't my time to be upset. Like, look what happened to my sister. How can I be upset right now? I have my baby. Like, I can't make this about me. So that's why I just held everything in. And that was just the worst thing I could have done. So you may be thinking, how did you get better? So when Jay was around 4 months old, I finally let myself love him. And I think it was because the way he was starting to show me love, like, he loved me, and I could tell. And I was like, okay, maybe he's not going anywhere, and maybe I can just be attached to him. And I remember thinking, like, it's better to have loved him and lost him than to have not loved him at all. So that was my mindset. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to show him all my love while he's here. I still was not convinced that he wasn't going to die. I thought he was going to die. It's such a morbid thing to say, but it's just the truth. And over the next couple months, I realized, like, something just clicked, and I'm just like, he's not going anywhere. And I remember when people would make plans for the future, people would say, like, oh, in like 6 months he'll be walking, you know? And I'm just like, people would say that, and it made me feel so much better, and they had no idea what they had done, but I'm like, huh. And, like, we'd make plans like, oh, you're invited to this birthday party in like 3 months, and I'm like, wow, so they think he's going to be alive in 3 months. Like, why can't I think like that? And those people, like, no, they had no idea, but that made me feel so good, and things like that are the things that made me feel better. So over those next couple months, from like 4 to like 7 months, I started getting a lot better, and I just totally changed my mindset just by little comments like that helped me. And I started just thinking a lot and doing a lot of research and just thinking, like, there's all these people in this world, like, he's not going anywhere. And if I just try my very best to keep him alive, that's all I can do. And have fun in the meantime. So that is when I started taking my job as a mother extremely seriously. And, you know, people always ask on TikTok, like, how did you get him to be so smart? How do you get him to be so well-behaved? It was not because I wanted him to be this wicked, smart, amazing child. It was out of fear. Like, I put so much work into him because I wanted him to be the best, the healthiest and the smartest that he possibly could, because that would keep him alive the longest. So in my head, there was no other choice. Like, I had to teach him how to behave. I needed to teach him, you know, what's dangerous and what's not. I needed to teach him how to talk so he could tell me what's wrong with him, or he could communicate with me. You know, like, that was so important. So I put so much work into that. So that is definitely a major factor into who he is today, because he is now so smart and so well behaved. And it wasn't because I was trying for that, but it was all motivated by fear. And it sucks that it was motivated by fear, but if I were to have another baby, I would definitely do the same thing, but it wouldn't be motivated by fear. It would definitely be motivated out of love this time. And after I had Jay, I thought, there's no way I'm ever going to have another baby, because I can never feel like this again. Like, nobody understood how I kept, like, most of this in. Nobody understood, and people would ask me, and, like, I'm like, can you just not ask me this question, because I don't feel like explaining why I never want another baby. But that's why. And I'm just coming around to the idea that it doesn't have to be that way again. And watching my sister have 2 more babies and she's okay and she's not afraid, it makes me feel a lot better. So I think it's time to open up to the idea of having a new baby because I want one. I want one so bad. And I think I'm finally like just getting over that. But the anxiety definitely faded away around 7 months old. That's probably when it went away and I started feeling like myself again. It definitely helped to lose the baby weight, to eat healthy, and along the process of me teaching Jay all these things, like, he just loved me so much and that made it fun. Like, he made it so fun for me to be a mom. And Jay honestly cured my anxiety. Him growing just cured me. And I don't have anxiety anymore. So it definitely is a happy ending. I mean, for me, it's a happy ending, but obviously what happened to my nephew has always affected me. It's scarred me for life, and I don't even want to talk about that right now because I don't want to cry. But in conclusion, if you are going through any postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, just know that I have been there and done that, and I just want you to know it gets better, a lot better over time. Even if you do nothing, time will fix you, and you will feel better, and you'll get to feeling like that mom. I remember just seeing moms and like thinking like, how do they get themselves together? Like, how are they doing so good? And now I'm on TikTok and people are saying that to me, and I'm just like, oh, if you only knew. And that's why I want to share this story, because I'm not perfect, and I've not always been this happy mom who knows exactly what they're doing. It took a lot of time. Mind you, everything that I've done with Jay is pretty much, I used to research like all day, like, how do I get my kid to do this, that, and listen to podcasts at night. And like, also another important thing to note is Sean worked a lot that first year of Jay's life, so it was just me and Jay. So I put a lot of time into listening to podcasts, reading articles, watching videos, and just like studying babies and stuff, because I just felt like if I followed this professional, then I'm doing okay. Like, this is the right thing to do. I just wanted to feel like I was doing the right thing, so I did things very much by what professionals would say. That's probably a whole nother video though. So if you stayed till the end, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you got something from it, even if it's just, your friends having a baby, and like maybe just be more aware, because if they're acting like everything's okay, chances are they're not telling you everything, because after you have a baby, it's hard for everything to just be okay. I don't know why. It's just the way it is. So once again, thank you so much for watching this, and please subscribe for more. I promise it'll be happier videos next. I think I'm going to, I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I promise it's going to be happier than this. So thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.